Oh, shut up, silly woman.
And everyone's going to be laughing. It's all going to be funny. Ha ha ha. Big jokes. It'll be like Sex and the City episode. And money's going to come from the sky. They don't anticipate the fact that every single organization that is primarily run by females is just a fucking bitch fest anyway.
What more do you want from me?
Caused a bit of a stir actually by saying that there are some jobs that women can't do as well as a man.
I think it has to start from like the top down, really. We could just talk about it amongst ourselves, but if the people who run companies aren't really on board with it, then it's not going to change.
The chairman of the Institute of Directors, who is a woman, Lady Barbara Judge, says there is no such thing as a female career or a woman's job. Jobs should be done by everyone.
I tell my grandmother, yo, there's a cleaning job. My grandmother's gonna look at me and say, girl, we dodged bullets for you to go and do the same job that we were dodging bullets for. And she's gonna be very disappointed. So, hey guys, I don't know if you guys know, there's a slogan. My father was a garden boy, my mother was a kitchen cat. So we are saying, I must be in retail because there's clothes there, I'll iron and I'll hang things very nicely and I'll fold them properly. But I can't fix a car because I'm a female. It's still problematic. Even the pushback in itself. I know there are women that can confidently stand here and say, now we have no problem ironing clothes. And good, that's good. Because at the end of the day, people have their own preferences. But it's not about you as a person. It's about the larger scale of things, right? The global scale of things. Had for instance, Angela Davis in America not decided that I'm going to sit in this bus, whether they like it or not, I'm going to sit here and no one is going to tell me anything. No one would have said anything. About Rosa Parks, for instance. I'm sorry, that's Rosa Parks, not Angela Davis. No one would have said, no, but women are not allowed, but men can travel. Oh, but a black woman. No one would have said that. Had Abalien going, she's like, not decided too much. No one would have said, no, but obviously there's people with pushbacks with everything. But people need to understand that it's not about you, it's about the bigger idea of things, right? So what maybe you might feel as a liberation right now is oppression for someone else. For instance, if I tell my grandmother, yo, there's this cleaning job, my grandmother's gonna look at me and say, girl, we dodged bullets for you to go and do the same job that we were dodging bullets for. And she's gonna be very disappointed in me. So there's different fights for different generations. And I feel like ours is, yes, we can be CEOs, but we want more. And that more is the same way that a male is treated. I want to be treated the same. If he can get 200,000 more with the same job that I'm doing, we're doing the same task every day, I want the same thing.
Yeah. So I think also just to emphasize the points that she was speaking about, and when it comes to speaking about people pushing back, there's always going to be pushbacks, right? Even when we were fighting for freedom, political freedom, when we got in from 1994, there was a pushback, right? But the issue is that there's so many norms in society that are actually not known, right? When you speak about the liberation of women or equality, we need to firstly deal with the issue of the norms that we have in society that disadvantage our women, right? Hence I spoke about women empowerment. So we cannot be able to implement anything in reality without firstly achieving it in our minds. So for us to be able to go out there and say, you know what, women occupy these spaces, women must believe that they're capable of occupying these spaces, right? So as I spoke about women empowerment, we're also speaking about the issue of fixing the norms that we have in our society, right? For instance, when you go back to our homes, you find that young girls are being told, you know what, you can be a nurse, you can be a doctor, but they're not being exposed in being entrepreneurs. They're not being exposed in being engineers in these other spaces. So now that's the first step in trying to deal with the issues of equality. Before we go and fight and say this equality policy is not fully implemented, there must be someone who recognizes that, right? Because now you find women who accept the basics because that's what the society says they must accept. So hence I say that it starts from the society, liberating our people in the minds and ensuring that we empower women to understand the social injustice that we have before we go and say we're implementing this particular policy. So that when someone goes out there and say, this is what I'm vouching for, this is the agenda that I'm pushing for equality between men and women and in the workplace, they understand fully where does it come from, right? So firstly, it needs to come from our societies, empowering women. And when we go to policy implementations, they are there. Policies are there, they exist. But they're not fully implemented, right? Because we're not fully in charge of the economy, like I said. So now when you introduce a policy, I can introduce the policy, but when someone who's supposed to approve it is of the other view, that policy will never be implemented. It will exist and be there in place, and people will say, you know what, we're vouching for equality between men and women, but when you get into the workplace, it says something else in reality. Right? So the stats can say something else and say women occupy or they are the majority in teaching and so forth, but they're still the marginalized people, right? They're still the most struggling people in society. Even when it comes to unemployment rate and everything, they are the most unemployed young black women. And we cannot be able to achieve or rather fix or deal with these issues if we don't tackle them from society, the first or the start point, and ensuring that we empower young black women to see themselves occupying these spaces before they go and vouch or fight for these tables or for these seats.
I also think, sorry to add on to that, I think we were in an era where policies were granted because of worldviews. So gender equality is a worldview, right? Like you said, I am. Yes. So gender inequality is a worldview, right? So if someone comes and says, in South Africa, this is what we want for females, the government will agree. Because I can know, hey, it's a whole thing out there. If South Africa does something different, they will be on the news for a week saying, hey, they are patriarchal, right? Now, and I'm only saying now because I think now we've hit peak Twitter, peak controversy, peak, like now it's cool to be controversial, right? We see our Elon Musk and our Donald Trump doing it deliberately to say, actually, people are saying black rights. What black rights? Tina, we white supremacists. People are saying females. What females? Tina, we believe in patriarchy, right? And this has then exposed that some of the policies that we have, not everyone believes in them, but they are forced to say, okay, it exists, right? So it has exposed a lot of truths, which then sets us back to say that, in fact, this feminism that we speak about, it's still far from being achieved. Because now we are starting to understand that the same people that were saying women's rights are the same people that actually don't believe it. They were just saying it for the sake of sounding woke, right? And then with that, it means that women must start to liberate themselves. Right? I know I said the government has a lot to do, but here, I feel like it has to do with you as an individual. Because the moment that you tell yourself that, hey, I'm always going to be kept in this corner, it also restricts the amount of work that you do towards yourself, right? You are scared to do particular things because already I know that's not my space. But I think we must be comfortable with being uncomfortable as women. We must put ourselves in uncomfortable positions so that we see ourselves through. Because oftentimes you don't want to do this because people are going to be looking at me weird, or for instance, I'm in politics. Just because I'm a girl in politics, I'm loud, I'm emotional, right? But why am I here is what should matter to me. So I think a message to the viewers, the females, is that they need to learn to be uncomfortable so that they get to their comfortability. Because if you don't put yourself in that uncomfortable position, no one will make space for you if you don't barge in to those rooms yourself, right? So it's very important that women don't succumb to these views or perspectives that, hey, you can't do this because of that, right? It's fine. We are natural beings. Yes, we go through our periods. Yes, maybe it's 7 days. 7 days we don't feel like waking up. But it doesn't mean that in that 7 days I won't wake up, right? If I'm passionate and I'm driven about something, then I'm able to say, okay, sure, I'm not feeling okay, but these are the measures that I can put in place. It's okay to be emotional because you are a human being. Even men that say that we are emotional, they are more emotional than ourselves, right? So it's okay to be emotional because then it speaks to your passion about something. It's okay to not have things figured out all the time, because with not having things figured out all the time, it speaks to someone that's learning. And it's, to be someone in life, you need to continuously be learning. You need to continuously educate yourself. So I think for women to be liberated, you need to start as a girl, as a woman, to liberate yourself. So that when you go out to the world and say, but there's 10 more of us, they don't say, well, now where did you start? Right. So yeah, I think, that's an important take.
Also, I think that's the good perspective also. To also add in a different perspective, we must also understand where we come from, the injustice of our past, and how can we move forward, right? So the concept is young black women. So there's different struggles to that, right? And me and you can relate because we're both black. But when let's come up and say we're fighting this issue of women and stuff, it's not about women who can relate to our struggles, right? Because we now have different struggles that we have. I struggle because I'm black, and I also struggle because I'm a woman. So we need to also understand the different struggles that we face. We cannot be able to compare ourselves with the people who are already coming from the upper class, right? When I say I want to move up to the top, I still need to start at the back, right? I still need to go back to my home and fix other issues. So because even class differences is a struggle. So we need to understand the injustice of our past and be able to understand that our struggles are different and they are many, right? You struggle because you're a woman, you struggle because you are a black woman, and so your woman not the same as the white woman, right, next door, because that woman already is starting on a business that is left by the family, the legacy, right? And you are starting from nothing, from scratch. So our struggles are different, and so when we move forward or try to deal with these issues of occupying spaces, like she said, we must be able to understand the injustice of our past and understand that our struggles are different. So we cannot come with the same solutions as them, because you have a lot that you need to still fix that they don't experience, right? That they do not have. So also occupying spaces, leading and believing that you can be able to do it. I think many black women are out there, they have strong political views, they have creative ideas, but they don't put them out there because they are waiting for someone to lead them to do that, right? You are the one who's supposed to lead the idea yourself. You're not supposed to wait for someone else to say, you know what, this is how we're going to move. So hence I spoke about women empowerment, particularly young black women empowerment. When you go into townships, there are jobs that young girls believe they cannot be able to do because of the background that they come from. So hence I spoke about empowerment, right? To say that we must be able to ensure that when you look out there and say these are the types of issues that we want to deal with, we understand the injustice of our past and empower the minds of young black women, make them believe that they can do it. When they have ideas, they don't have to wait for someone else to lead them implement those ideas. They are the leaders expected to implement them themselves.
All right. Good take. So big takeaway is the liberation of the young black girl's mind.
Yes. We agree on that.
Yeah.
But yeah.